So the totally misguided animation broadcast by Japan's national broadcaster NHK was shocking. But you know, for someone who is familiar with the TV culture in this country, it was not perhaps out of the ordinary because there's this rampant culture of dumbing down in Japanese TV. Uh, not only in the NHK but also in the commercial TV stations, and the celebrity culture here is quite different from those in other countries, I should say. The famous people in other countries, they use their fame to bring about, you know, good changes in society. Raising awareness about racial equality, uh, you know, making people think about gender issues and so on. All these things are synonymous with being a celebrity, right? But not in Japan. I mean, being a celebrity means often means just partying around and playing dumb. I literally I mean it because if if you're living in Japan and if you're from other countries and if you're familiar with Japanese TV, you know, for example, there are no comedy shows dealing with current affairs, like whatever Prime Minister Abe says in the parliament, there's no comedian taking that as a material for laughter, which is really necessary for the human brain to function properly because, without these metacognitive aspects, you cannot really think about political issues in, whole way. This is something that is commonplace in countries like the US and in the UK and so on. But Japanese comedians tend to focus on really, you know, bland aspect of life. They are good at making laughter out of people's miscommunications and so on. But then the spectrum of humanity expressed in these comedy shows are really narrow. They say this is typically Japanese, but I am not in that narrow band. I am something else. I've had really serious troubles with the Japanese comedians over this in the past few years because I criticized their attitude of not dealing with current affairs, but they said, "Hey, you are an amateur. You don't know anything about comedy, so just keep your mouth shut." That kind of thing. So so what this total lack of comedy shows dealing with current affairs, like the Daily Show or Late Show in the USA, or Have You Got News for You in the UK. This total lack of current affairs comedy is a really sad uh, status quo of Japanese TV. Now, because of that, well, there are many really complex networks of causations and so on. But you can really simplify it. But partly because of that, the Japanese general public do not have the literature to appreciate the current affairs in a deep level. And the NHK, the National Public Broadcaster, because they are based on license fees, they do not have to, think about the rating so much. So they might be more, audacious and, more courageous to bring about new shows, but they don't do that. The NHK is playing the same dumbing down game, which is really, irritating because, as a great fan of BBC, I'm always hoping that NHK would be able to produce good quality shows like the BBC. For example, The Office was a really great comedy show, and it deals with the problem of incompetent leader, right? David Brent. You know, what happens in the office if you have an incompetent boss? It's a disaster, terrible. But and this kind of situation is of course happening in Japan too. You know, if you have an incompetent leader, that is a tragic situation. Uh, if that leader happens to be a political leader, that is going to be a disaster for the country. So we have a democratic right to make laughter out of these, situations. We are suffering anyway under incompetent leadership. So why not make some laughter out of it? NHK doesn't do it. I don't understand. They play all these, dumbed down programs all day long where these talent appear, and these talents do not have any critical thinking. I mean, they just, behave as if they are typical Japanese. But what is this typical Japanese? I'm not in that spectrum. I'm not a typical Japanese. But not a single person is actually a typical Japanese. I mean, everybody is different. Everyone has a right to be different. So, there's this total lack of the appreciation of the diversity of thinking, feeling in the Japanese TV media. So this particular really stupid animation coming from NHK is just, one tiny piece of the whole problem. The Japanese media has really serious problem, starting from the NHK. I have been making noise for many, many years now, but they don't listen. And so I don't care because I don't watch Japanese TV anyway. I watch Netflix, I watch Amazon Prime, I watch YouTube, but not Japanese TV because there's no program worth watching, which is really sad actually. Anyway, I'm really sorry about this incident that NHK has broadcast this stupid animation, but that is actually business as usual. That is the most scandalous thing about Japanese TV, I think.